Hi students, it's Mrs. Carey, and I wanted to talk about your brainstorming and organizing your paper and then writing your introduction paragraph today. So we started last week coming up with what topic we wanted to write about, and then in class we did the first part of this worksheet. So we wrote down our topic. For my example topic, I'm doing mine on pet cloning. And then we wrote down what we wanted to prove. So I want to prove that pet cloning should not be conducted. And then before we looked at the articles, we tried to come up with our own reasons of why it should not be conducted, or whatever you put for what you want to prove in your topic. So I tried to think on my own of ways this would be bad. And, this is what I came up with. So I put it in the boxes. Probably want to try to have at least 4 of your own ideas, but I gave you 8 boxes in case the more ideas you can come up with, the better. Then we, towards the end of class, started looking through our individual articles and jotting down evidence that we thought would help our argument. Okay. So, for example, one that I found, the pet is different in temperament and disposition. So that would make the pet actually seem totally different if it's cloned. I just paraphrased this, so there's no quotes, but then this was the author and this was the page number I found that on. It's important that you include this now because when you go to write your paper, you'll need this information and you don't want to have to go back and search for it. I found 3 other details that I thought were really good. 2 of these I just quoted because I thought the way they said it was best. And then 2 of them I paraphrased and put it in my own words. If you find more than 4 or even the 5 boxes I gave you that really support your argument, I would encourage you to write those down because as you go to write your paper, you might decide, oh, some of these I don't really like, or some of these I do. All right, what we didn't get to in class is the counter argument. So Monday in class, we're looking back through the article and we're looking for 2 details that go for the other side, okay? We can quote what those pieces of evidence are, or we can paraphrase them. I paraphrased both, put the last name and the page number, okay? So now I gave you the document that had all of the boxes. Maybe I should pull that up to show you what that looks like. Just a second here, and I will pull that up. Because now that we have all this great information, we need to think about how we want to organize it into our paper. Let me grab this. It's an older format that I've used. I think this is the one I gave you guys. Okay, so in your paper, we're going to come up with 3 big reasons to support our idea, okay? So we're going to look at our evidence and we're going to see, okay, how can I kind of put those into 3 big ideas? So this isn't a piece of evidence. This is you looking through the evidence and coming up with 3 big ideas. Then you're going to underneath jot down, okay, what was the evidence you found to back that up? And that might be evidence from your sources, or that might be some of your own ideas. Okay. So when I did this with mine, I, looked at all these reasons and I realized the 3 big ideas that I'm seeing are that cloning hurts the owner. There are ways that the owner was affected. It hurts shelter animals, and it's dangerous medically. I found a few things on each of these, so I thought those would be good for my 3 body paragraphs. So you need to look through your reasons you came up with and your evidence, and you need to come up with 3 big ideas that support what you're trying to prove. Okay? And you're going to find at least 2 pieces of evidence from the sources and or your own ideas to back that up. Then you look at your counterclaims and you decide, okay, which one is the most important and which one can I prove wrong? So if we look back, mine were people were attached to their pets and don't want to say goodbye. So that's why they clone. And this was, we have the technology, so why not use it? So I'm going to use this one here. So I would write that in my box. And then how could I prove that wrong? Well, I can say, well, just because we have technology, it doesn't mean we should do it. Some things we have to decide, is this the right thing to do or not? Just because you can do something is never a reason to do it. Okay, so if you look at this paper, that's going to help you be able to then write the rest of your paper. So now the next part, our thesis, is 2 parts. It is what you want to prove, your stance, and then the 3 body paragraph ideas. So mine is pet cloning should not be conducted because, and then I put my first reason, my second reason, and my third reason. So if I put it all together, mine reads, pet cloning should not be conducted because it hurts the owner, it harms shelter animals, and it is medically dangerous. Okay, so work on getting that thesis, that claim statement just right, because that is what your whole paper is going to be about. That is the blueprint for your whole paper. It tells you how it's going to be, and it sets the stage for the reader. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and talk about the introduction paragraph and review that with you guys. So there are 3 parts. Just like with our research papers, there are 3 parts with an argumentative essay. The hook, some teachers call it the lead or attention getter, but this makes your reader want to read on, gets them hooked in. And then the background information, where you set up your argument. What does the reader need to know so that the rest of the paper makes sense? And your thesis claim. What is your opinion and what will you prove in this paper? Okay. Now the hook, like we said, is a way to draw in the reader. So maybe you give an overview of your issue. Maybe you share like a little anecdote, a story that leads into the topic. Maybe you start with a startling statement or fact or statistic from your research. It didn't really fit in your paper anywhere else, but it would be good to start your paper with. Maybe you have a quote from an expert. Maybe you set a scene, like you imagine what life would be like. You describe things so that the reader can really picture it. Maybe you start with a rhetorical question, a question that really can't be answered, but gets the reader thinking. So here I gave you some different examples. I was pretending to write a paper about how kids should stay home if they're actually super sick. So these are some of the different ways I did it, and maybe this will give you an idea for yours. You can go back and look at these further. But after you write your hook, you want your background information. So you want to ask yourself, what does the reader need to know about your topic in order to understand the paper? And then how can I connect and transition my lead, my hook, to my thesis so it doesn't sound choppy? So here is my hook strategy. And now I have to explain that. So I say, our school has a major problem. Too many students come to school when they are severely ill. Coming to school with a common cold is fine, but when students come with fevers, chills, and major stomach issues, a line must be drawn. So there, the opening, the cough, cough, my hook gets them thinking about, oh yeah, think of all the people who are coming to school and they're really sick. This explains the situation. So the reader needs to know, okay, this is an issue, this is going on. Then you're ready for your thesis, or sometimes called claim. So this is going to end your introduction. It's going to be strong and specific. It's going to preview your argument, and the reader should be able to read this and know exactly what you're going to be writing about. So you're going to restate the question and give your position, a because, and then your 3 reasons, one for each main body paragraph. Okay? So let's say you're supposed to write if students should wear school uniforms. So first you're going to state your stance. Students should wear school uniforms. Remember, we're not saying I think or I believe, because this is a formal paper, so we're not using I, and we know this is what you think or believe. It's your paper. So you want to sound very authoritative and powerful. Students should wear school uniforms.